Friday, July the 31st, 2020. It is currently 10:40 p.m. Central Time. So this makes this a special late night episode of the Currently On podcast. But it's going to be worth it, because this late night episode, I'm going to give you the only playlist you need. Yes, I am here to introduce to you the only music playlist you need to subscribe to. All the others you can go ahead and delete. They're irrelevant. They're no longer needed, because there is a new playlist that is currently available on Spotify that you need to subscribe to. And I'm not here to tell you about this playlist myself. No, this special late night episode of the Currently On podcast is hosted by not only me, Trevor, it's also hosted by, or I should say my co-host, I'm the co-host. However, there's two of us here. I'm Trevor, and this is
Bex. Hey, guys.
And we're here to tell you about the greatest playlist ever created in the history of mankind. I know you think that's hyperbole. You may think that that's an exaggeration. You may not even believe me, but you can't say anything until you subscribe to it and listen to the playlist 10 times. Then, and only then, can you offer any criticism. No, the Currently On podcast now has the Currently On music playlist. It is currently on Spotify. At some point, I'll try to create an Apple music playlist as well. It's called the Currently On Radar. The Currently On Radar, and the idea is pretty simple. Currently On podcast talks about what's currently on, and what's currently on my music radar, well, it's on this playlist. So you can subscribe to it. Currently On Radar, the Currently On Radar. The Currently On Radar. That's the name of the playlist. It's available on Spotify. And, we're going to tell you about the playlist. We're going to tell you the songs that we have included, tell you maybe why we've included them, just offer some insight. And, we'll hopefully, this will be a success. If not, we'll delete the playlist and pretend like this episode never occurred. But most of these songs on the playlist have been already spoken about on the podcast. We've done lyric analysis, reviews, and all those types of things. So here we go. We're going to talk about it. I've got the playlist pulled up. Bex, come on, say something. Talk to people.
I have the playlist pulled up as well. There are at least 3 tracks on here. Well, 4, including the one that I just gave you. But so I guess about 4 tracks on this playlist that I am a big fan of. So.
All right. So she's only a fan of 3 or 4 songs, which probably tells you that of the 2 individuals currently speaking to you, only one of us is a musical genius. The other one, not so much.
They're all good. There's just 4 that I really, really like. So.
All right. Here we go. So here's what's currently on the Currently On Radar playlist. I think I've already told you. That's currently available on Spotify. We started off with 2 tracks from the Black Veil Brides. Now, if you listen to my podcast about this, when I first saw that this had been released, I missed it by like 3 days, 4 days. And when I saw it, I'm like, wait, Black Veil Brides? They have new tracks? This is crazy. And so then I started running around and I was all excited. I'm like, oh, new Black Veil Brides. And then I saw, oh, they've got a new album coming out. And I got all excited. And then I started looking at the track list for the upcoming album. And I'm like, wait a minute. These are the songs from their debut album. Wait, what? And then I remembered, oh, this is the 10-year anniversary for their debut album. So they're re-recording it, redoing it. And so I took 2 tracks that have been released, Perfect Weapon and Sweet Blasphemy by the Black Veil Brides. Now, whenever someone takes their debut album and then re-records it, there's always going to be this debate. Well, the original was better. The new one is garbage. And you know what? As long as both of them is available, then what difference does it make? Listen to both. Now, the problem is the Black Veil Brides debut album is very hard to find. In fact, I believe, let me look here. I believe, give me one second. I believe the Black Veil Brides on Spotify. I believe it's, yes, We Stitch These Wounds from 2010 is available on Spotify. We Stitch These Wounds is not available on Apple Music. So that's frustrating. All the other albums by the Black Veil Brides are available. But We Stitch These Wounds, interesting story since Bex is here. Her son, Landon, the first vinyl LP he ever picked out was We Stitch These Wounds by Black Veil Brides. That is the vinyl he picked out. We went to the record store together. How old was he?
Six, I guess 6 or 7 probably.
He wasn't set. How old? He's
8 now.
No, he wasn't. It had to be 5. It was years ago.
Okay, I was thinking 6. 5 works. Yeah.
Okay, so it was 4 or 5. We went to the record store together, and I said, "You can pick out anything you want, any record you want." And the one he picked out was "We Stitch These Wounds" by Black Veil Brides. So there was something about the cover he liked. Now, I personally not a fan. I'm not personally a fan of the old cover. I'm definitely a fan of the new cover. The new cover, I think, is absolutely awesome. So, Black Veil Brides, 2 tracks currently on Music Radar playlist. And the only 2 that are out right now, I got to go back to the playlist, are Perfect Weapon and Sweet Blasphemy. I put them back to back just because that makes sense. Now, remember, the currently on, I guess I can't tell you to remember since you don't know yet. The currently on Radar playlist, it's going to be updated like all the time. So if you find something on there that you want, save it or it will be gone. And you'll want to be checking the playlist on a regular basis because it'll be changing all the time. Anything about the Black Veil Brides? Anything you want to say about those 2 tracks?
They're good tracks. Black Veil Brides, I've never been like, a diehard fan or anything like that, but they're both good. I mean, they're good tracks. I've heard them before, so.
All right. So, yeah, she didn't add much to that discussion, did she? All right. Then next up, Fontaines DC. Now, Fontaines DC is, I guess they kind of at times fit over, or some would kind of put them in that punk category. I guess, can we put them in a punk category and a post-punk era? Maybe that's the way to describe them. But I put the track from their new album, I Don't Belong is the name of the track, by Fontaines DC. The reason I chose I Don't Belong is, I can't help but say this, I get a Nirvana vibe from at least the music. And I'm a huge Nirvana fan. They changed music. They were amazing. And sadly, that all ended in a tragic way. We won't go back through that. But yeah, Fontaines DC. Let me pull up. I have the single here. Let me pull up their new album dropped Friday. And the new album is called A Hero's Death. A Hero's Death by Fontaines DC. But the song I chose was I Don't Belong. Televised Mine is also very good from the new album. And their 2019 album was well received. But Fontaines DC, I Don't Belong, definitely worth a listen. One of my favorite tracks currently on Radar playlist. Anything about Fontaines DC?
Actually, don't think I've listened to this specific track yet. So I'm still working my way through this playlist. So I actually don't think I've listened to that one yet. But I'm interested to hear the Nirvana resemblance that you're referencing. So,
all right. Well, see when. Yeah. Okay. Currently, any money made from this podcast is not going to her because she's not contributing anything. Okay. All right. Next up. Oh, I love the next song. I did an entire podcast episode about it. Idaho by the band Slow Pulp. Slow Pulp, just a cool name for a band, but Idaho is an absolutely amazing song. I completely interpreted the lyrics, the way it begins, the way it ends, just the way the narrative goes, the music, everything about it. And you can go listen to my entire episode about that track on the Currently On podcast. You're listening to the Currently On podcast, so just scroll down a little bit and you'll find it. But Idaho by Slow Pulp, definitely a song everyone should add to their library. It's a song that I hope gets their new album, I think, if I remember, comes out in October. I'm hoping that the song will build a lot of momentum leading up to October. I'm assuming they're going to drop another single maybe August or September, but I hope they have a good build for their album that will I believe in October. So that's Slow Pulp, the song Idaho. Anything you want to add?
Slow Pulp was new to me until you had recorded the podcast on their upcoming album and their single. And so I actually love the song Idaho. I'm really excited to hear their album when it comes out. So yeah, I'm a fan of them thus far.
All right. And then next up on the playlist, we have Friend by Gracie Abrams. And this is another one that I did an entire podcast episode on. Friend by Gracie Abrams. Anything you want to say about Friend, Gracie Abrams?
It's actually, I do like this one. I listened to it for the first time just a few minutes ago, and I do really like that track as well.
All right, and then next up we have My Future by Billie Eilish, which we were talking about, a week ago. Then we talked about it multiple times. I did a full review of the song. It was what was weird with the Billie Eilish track is she released a snippet on Instagram. I record an episode saying, hey, the snippet is out. And then about the time I get that uploaded, then it's like, no, Billie Eilish went ahead and released the whole song. I'm like, well, I just recorded a podcast episode about the snippet. So then I had to turn around and do a podcast episode saying it's out now, and then reviewed the lyrics. But I think the review of the lyrics makes that podcast episode worthwhile. My Future, Billie Eilish, obviously that's probably on everyone's radar, but I can't just ignore it because it's on everyone's radar. And it's an amazing track. And musically, it really has two, I think, distinct parts. You got the first part, and then once the music kicks in. But yes.
She released it because she heard your podcast, and she was like, well, I'm going to make him look stupid and go ahead and release it now. So.
Yeah, yes. Hey, Billy, help me out here, okay? When I'm sitting there going, hey, she just released a snippet. Everyone go listen to the snippet. And then next thing you know, well, forget the snippet. The whole song's out. Yeah, I looked really dumb doing that, but I had no idea. All right, next up.
You didn't let me
say your thoughts.
So My Future is actually one of the 4 that I was referring to off of this playlist that I would consider one of my favorite tracks. I love the music. Her voice is just incredible. And then I love the changes in the music about halfway through the song as well. So, that's kind of what she's known for, but it's just, I love that track.
And next up, I did another podcast episode about this one as well. I Can Only Be Good by the Evening Hymns. Now, the Evening Hymns I don't know if they retweeted or they did something on Twitter in regards to my episode about the song. So they are aware of my podcast episode in regards to the song, which is really, really cool. But I Can Only Be Good is an absolutely amazing song. The album it comes from, Evening Hymns, I got to pull it up here. Here we go. Evening Hymns. It's called Heavy Nights is the name of the album, Heavy Nights. It has 8 songs. It's 38 minutes and 17 seconds long. But I Can Only Be Good is the first track on the album. But I Can Only Be Good by Evening Hymns from their album Heavy Nights. I Can Only Be Good needs to be added to your library. This is what I would say. This is a situation where I don't want you to just add the song. You need to add the whole album to your playlist, to your library. And then when it's late at night, you need to put on Heavy Nights, Evening Hymns' new album, Heavy Nights. It is a perfect late night album. Oh, man. And the saxophone and I Can Only Be Good is absolutely awesome. Brilliant, brilliant album. Brilliant thing. And it's probably not on most people's radar. So I Can Only Be Good by Evening Hymns. Download it. Subscribe to our playlist, but download it and put it in your library because, wow, it is good. Or add it to your library, I should say. You don't have to technically download it because it's streaming, but you get the idea. If you want to listen to it offline, download it, all right? If you're going to go, if you're going somewhere where you don't have signal and you can't stream it, and it's a late night drive, this would be a great late night drive album, a late night anything album. Evening Hymns, the song I Can Only Be Good. Yeah, put it on your playlist now. Or just subscribe to our playlist. Anything you want to say about?
I agree. It's a great great song off of a great album, and it's good. Definitely good for late night, kind of rainy day type vibe.
Definitely. All right. Next up is just random. Very, very, very random. Okay. Think this track is kind of summer beach vibe. Okay. It's an older track from Mac DeMarco, and it's called Freaking Out the Neighborhood. The guitar just has this summer beach vibe. I just randomly chose it. I think the song actually, Freaking Out the Neighborhood by Mac DeMarco, I think it came out. When did it come out? 2012, I think, is when it came out. Freaking Out the Neighborhood from his album 2 in 2012. So it's an older song, but hey, that's one of the things we're going to do with our playlist is we're not just going to add new stuff. We're going to add old, new, popular, not popular. If it's on our radar, we think it needs to be on your radar because our radar is accurate and your musical radar maybe needs to be retired. So just rely on our musical radar, the currently on radar playlist, and subscribe. And well, you can hear Freaking Out the Neighborhood by Mac DeMarco because it's kind of pretty cool song, especially for the summertime.
Agreed.
Okay. All right. Then next is Future Islands. Now, Future Islands, man. Okay, what can I say about Future Islands? First, song just has an 80s vibe all over it, in my opinion. But if you their 2014 album called Singles, the only reason I got the 2014 Singles album is because of the album cover, which is like, how can I even describe this? How would you describe the album cover? It's like a photoshopped picture of a woman.
Her head is in the clouds.
I guess her head's missing or her head's in the clouds. It's like kind of this, it's supposed to be like a woman in a dress over water. Clearly it's like photoshopped there. It's just looks like poorly done, but it's just weird because her head is missing or her head's in the clouds. I don't know, but I got the album because of that. Just because I'm like, that's an odd cover. And sitting there trying to interpret, what does it mean? And her legs are missing. So why is she there over water? Like, where's her head? What's going on? So just that cover got me asking questions. So I got the album. But they have a new song out. And the new song is called For Sure. And it was released July the 8th, 2020. Future Islands, For Sure. I think you should definitely hear it. I like it, and I think go back and look at that album. Maybe 2 albums ago. I think 2 albums ago, and I think you may. If you've never heard them, I think maybe you'll find something there to enjoy. All right, she's shaking her head, which is really great for an audio podcast. Does great when people shake their head for an audio podcast because that means you know exactly. Like you knew she was shaking her head. Yes, right. You knew that because you are watching. You're listening to an audio podcast. Yeah, the podcast novices here. Okay, all right. Here we go. Next up is Teenage Priest. Why did I add this song? Because can you pass up a song by a group called Teenage Priest? I would say you can't. It's called Innocent. It's got a cool vibe. I don't even know how I discovered the song. I don't even know. Let me see. Do I even know when it was released? It may be new. Let me look here. Yeah, it was 2020. May the 15th, 2020. It's 3 minutes and 32 seconds. I don't even really know much about Teenage Priest, but I think it's a cool song, and I think it needs to be on your musical radar. So that's why it's on the currently on radar, because that's the only radar you need. See, I'm going to keep plugging that. Okay. All right. Anything about Teenage Priest?
Did you say that this album has been released?
The single.
The single for the album. When's the album set to be
I don't
released?
know
Okay.
anything about the album. I don't even really know anything about the band, the group, but it's a cool song. So go there. Now, next up. Oh, yes. I did a podcast about this one as well. If you remember the 1983 song, Rockwell's Somebody's Watching Me. Well, this is the 2020 version of that. The 1983, I think it's 83, 84, 83. I just remember when Rockwell's Somebody's Watching Me came out, all I could do was, why in the heck is Michael Jackson the background singer for Rockwell? Like, that's all I could ask. I still to this day don't know how he ended up the background singer for anybody. He's Michael Stinkin' Jackson, and he's the background singer. But that song was kind of like paranoia in a fun way. But Night Garden by Benny. That's how she says her name, right? Benny? I'm almost positively. Yeah, Benny. With Kenny Beats and Bakar. It's kind of the 2020 version of that, and it's a lot darker. I did an entire analysis of the lyrics, really powerful stuff. I've been supporting her from the word go. She's the up next artist on Apple Music. Benny deserves all the praise, all the credit she can get. She's amazing. She's awesome. Listen to everything she's ever done. Yeah, she reminds me of kind of when Billie Eilish first started, and I'm like, hey, everybody listen to Billie Eilish, and nobody listened to me. Now everyone listens to Billie Eilish. Everybody needs to be listening to Benny. Her name is spelled Benee, Benee. So when you say Benny, it just seems weird, but that is her name. All right, anything about Night Garden?
I am also a huge fan of Benny. So yeah, it's a great track, and anything that she does, I've been a fan of so far. So,
and then next up is a song I just discovered about 35 minutes ago, called "The Heat," and I'm gonna say his name, Kamari. I don't know anything about it. I literally, when was this track released? I mean, literally, I just discovered it. I don't even know how I discovered it. It was released July the 31st, 2020. It was released today. All right, so you talk about new music. There you have it. The Heat, Kamari. I just discovered it a little while ago, and I can't tell you anything really about it other than as soon as I heard it, I was like, needs to go on the radar.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites that I was referring to off of this playlist. It's a really great track, and I suggest that you check it out.
Then next up, Funny by Zed and Jasmine Thompson. Oh, this song is so stinking good. I did a podcast episode about this one as well. Funny. I did a whole thing about the lyrics.
It's like you curated this playlist.
Yeah, I did curate the playlist. All right. Funny. Zed, Jasmine Thompson. You definitely need to listen to it. You need to add it to your list. I mean, what else can we say about Funny?
I've been a fan of Jasmine Thompson for a minute. Been hyping her up for a long time. Nobody has listened to me, but I've been a fan of hers ever since I came across her cover of Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. So for those who have not heard that cover, check it out because it's a pretty good cover. And yeah, I've been a fan of hers for forever. So this song, I'm hoping will give her some notoriety because I think she deserves it. So.
And then next up, obviously, we had to add this because that's what everybody's been talking about today. Beyonce, The Black King, streaming currently on Disney Plus. I did a in-depth review of the whole film, which took a really interesting philosophical perspective. It wasn't my intention. It was the reason the review kind of comes across the way it does is it's done in real time. So it's not like when I start recording, I know where I'm going. I'm literally watching. I hit pause in the show, record, then hit unpause the show, watch, hit pause and record, and which you don't really know where you're going to end up. Some people don't like the way I do my reviews, others do. I think it's very organic and real. It's like if we were sitting there watching. Well, if you've ever watched a movie with me, I pause it and then have philosophical conversations, and everyone appreciates that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's. I didn't know what here. My thing with the whole, my whole problem with this is because it's a reimagining of the Lion King. Well, I didn't like the Lion King movie. I didn't like it. I could care less. I didn't like any of the music from the Lion King movie. So when Beyonce did, what was it called? Hang on. It was called The Lion King, The Gift. I didn't care about that either because it had the Lion King in the name. So when the Black King came out, I'm like, wait a minute, I thought it was going to be new music. And no, it's music from the Lion King, The Gift. So it's not really new Beyonce music. And so I'm like, okay, I think the film done by Beyonce, I think Lemonade, the visual film for Lemonade, I think was far superior in my estimation. But again, this deals with the Lion King. But it takes I took a very interesting philosophical twist in it. And so you can listen to my review. But I had to pick a song from this because obviously this is what everyone's talking about. So I went Mood Forever because, well, Jay-Z's on it. There you go.
Childish Gambino.
Yeah, and Childish Gambino. But I went because of the rap that Jay-Z does in it. And I just thought it was good. I Find Your Way Back. I like that a lot as well. But yeah, I mean, there you go. I just picked it because, well, that's what everybody's talking about. And if it's currently on radar, if it's on the radar of everybody, I got to at least feature it. All right. And then next up, I'll turn the next one over to Becca alone.
All right, so I chose to add I Can't Breathe by her to this playlist. It was released a couple of months ago. Really, really good track, very powerful. I'm sure by the title you kind of can get an idea of what it would be about. But it's a great track. I'm a huge fan of her, have been for a long time. So I highly recommend listening to this one. And one of my favorite lines from this song is romanticizing the theft and bloodshed that made America the land of the free. It's just a very powerful song. It's something that you have to take kind of line by line. But I highly recommend her in general, but especially this song.
And I Can't Breathe was released June the 19th, 2020. So last month. Yeah. Juneteenth. Yeah. So the next track, well, we know why the next track is on here. Mellow My Man by The Roots. And we know the unfortunate news of Malik. I think I say Malik. I think The Roots, Malik, I think is how they say it on the track. Actually, his name is pronounced on the track, Mellow My Man. But the reason I picked Mellow My Man by The Roots because of his passing was because it comes from the album Do You Want More, which was released in 1995. And Do You Want More features Malik B on almost every single track. So I think this gives you kind of an idea of his work if you're not familiar with his work. So that's why I included it. All right. And that is the currently on radar. Currently, it will be changing. Probably will change again tomorrow. Who knows? I'm going to leave songs on there a lot and then add, and then I'll slowly start subtracting the tracks if the playlist is successful. It's currently available on Spotify. Do a search for the currently on radar, or you can do a search for my profile, TSRK30, TSRK30. That's TSRK30, and well, you can subscribe. Anything about the playlist? Anything you want to say?
I think from what I've heard so far that this is a pretty good playlist. I gave you my favorites from it. So if you are partial to me and you just think that I seem to have a better grasp on what's good, then you can start with those those tracks that I tend to like best. But overall, it's a very good playlist. And so I highly recommend checking that out.
And if you believe that crap, we have some oceanfront property in Arizona that we're currently on, that we're currently selling for the low price of $500,000. And you can have some beachfront property in Arizona. Okay, get it. There was a song, beachfront property.
We don't charge for the dad jokes.
Okay.
But,
Okay. No, the brilliant comedy that you should pay for. I mean, I could be on a Netflix special right here. And considering my musical genius, you should be paying just for the privilege. You know what we should do? We should take our playlist information, put it behind a Patreon wall, and charge people $15 a month to subscribe to our music playlist, because that's how stinking good it is. Don't you agree? It's that stinking good.
Okay. Yes, if that's what we're going.
Okay,
with.
She doesn't understand hype. She doesn't understand promotion. She does. She's just like, this is her. Hey guys,
No.
I created a playlist and it probably sucks.
I'm the balance. I've got to balance you out.
It probably sucks, and you may want to listen to it. Actually, don't listen to it because it doesn't really matter. And the songs suck, and I suck, and life sucks, and well. Thank you for listening to this podcast episode. If you feel like harming yourself after this, I can probably understand why, because I want to harm myself too. Or you can have someone who is a little bit more positive. positive that my playlist is the best playlist in the world. In fact, Spotify should just remove all playlists and just have the currently on radar playlist, and all other playlists should just go away. Don't you agree?
No, but that's whatever you say.
No, but in all honesty, in all seriousness, no, the whole goal here is just to, look, on the music streaming world, there's 9,220 zillion. I don't even know if that's a number. 220 zillion, billion, million, 100,000, hundred, whatever. A lot of things to choose from. And sometimes you just, you grab your phone to listen to something and you don't even know where to start, right? So sometimes you fall into a rut, just listen to the same thing over and over and over and over, or you just have a few playlists. Well, the thing about our playlist is it's going to be very eclectic. I mean, we start with the Black Veil Brides and we end with the Roots. That's pretty eclectic. Okay. So it's going to be eclectic. It's going to be a music lovers playlist, because if you don't like music and you only want one genre, well, then you're not going to like this playlist. But even if you don't like everything on the playlist, you probably will always find something that you hadn't heard before, which is what music discovery is all about. And we are going to do that for you for the very low cost of you just subscribing to the playlist. And, you have to follow the podcast. You have to follow the podcast. The Currently On podcast. Now, we've only got about maybe another hour to be able to say this. We are currently the number 3 trending podcast in the United States of America on Spotify. Now, I believe probably by tomorrow morning, we're going to be back to the realm of irrelevancy, and nobody's going to know who we are, which is going to be so sad after all the work we have done. But if you can listen to everything on the playlist, like everything on the podcast, like 50 times tonight, that would be great. And follow it and just download 1,000 copies just to save them. So that would help us. So the Currently On podcast and the Currently On Radar, the Currently On Radar playlist and the Currently On podcast. The podcast is available everywhere podcasts are available. The playlist is only available on Spotify, but our podcast has had the most success on Spotify. We don't really know why, but thank you, and we are appreciative. Anything you want to say about the podcast or the playlist?
I am hoping to contribute to the podcast regularly. I'm trying to figure out what time would be best for me to at least once a week record an episode on what I've been listening to or watching or whatever it may be. And then also I am in the process of trying to build up some social media pages for the podcast. And so you can find us on Instagram, Currently On Podcast, and Facebook, Currently On Podcast as well. And I haven't had a chance to do a lot with those, but I'm hoping to be able to build those up more over the next several days. So give us a follow, like, whatever, and we're always here to interact with. If you want to email us or DM us, comment, whatever, somebody will respond.
All right, and as I end every episode, hey, enjoy life. It's short.